Greetings, exalted ones.
You are no match for me.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video today. Today's video is a Killstreak tips and tricks video. So in today's video I've got about 12 to 13 tips I'd like to discuss in a bit of depth on how to improve your gameplay as heroes in the Galactic Assault and Supremacy game modes, and being able to get successful kill streaks regardless of what number it is, whether it's like 100 or even if it's just 50. So to start off with, I want to thank you all for all the support you've been giving me lately in all my videos, especially since a lot of them are just purely gameplay and not much really of a lot of commentary. So I do appreciate it. I'm hoping this video will help you guys to make up for the lack of breakdowns that I do, because I know Jedi Jazza does a lot of breakdowns with these kill streaks and stuff, and I don't add commentary to too many of mine. So hopefully this will sort of make up for it a bit, and then when you do watch future kill streaks of mine, you'll be able to see, okay, he used this tip in that situation, sort of thing. So hopefully you can see how I've applied it in different videos, as well as some form of footage in the background. I've had this Iden footage for a while that I never used, and I figured I'd use it for this video. So with that intro out of the way, I wanted to start off with the ability combinations. I just wrote these down based on what came to mind first. So there's no particular order, but nevertheless all the points are still relevant. So first off, ability combos. So as you all know, whether you're a new or experienced player, all heroes have a different set of abilities, and working out their strengths and weaknesses are really important, and how they can be used in conjunction with each other. Now obviously, for take Anakin and Luke for example, everyone hates knockdowns, but in large groups of enemies it is quite well. But using it on just the one trooper is a bit, I think, stupid in my opinion, and a bit of a waste, especially since, you know, you may need the ability a bit later and it might get you killed. So figure out how abilities work, whether it's a shock droid with Iden and then using a gun. So like when I say ability combinations, it doesn't just mean combining all the abilities, it means like combining an ability with your regular attacks as well. So in large groups of enemies all bunched up together, this is where Iden's stun droid can be really good, because if there's a good area of effect around them, you'll be able to stun them and then use your primary fire, or being able to push everyone in the area with a force push and then follow up with a repulse or a rush. Obviously we all hate knockdowns, as I said, but you know, using them in the right situation and more groups of enemies is important. So being able to do that, especially with the likes of like Maul and Yoda and Luke, how they all have like a rush. So doing like an attack and then their rush or spin attack, or the spin attack then the normal attack, that's another good combo as well. So just figuring out when to best use the combinations of abilities and what situations to use them in is really important. Now another thing I really want to touch on, the second point of today's video, is health regeneration. So obviously you're going to have to understand how much health someone can regenerate, so how much health you can actually lose before you start losing max health. So obviously people like Obi-Wan has one of the better health regens. So, I don't know all the stats by how much health regen they all have. So this is where Sammy Boy's hero guys can be really good, like understanding how much health they can regenerate. So if like, I'm pretty sure with like Obi-Wan you can still lose like 400 or 300 health or something and still regen to full. So just understanding how much health you can regen before you lose health. But even, not just that, but even when you do lose health, don't be afraid to retreat and let your health come back, because managing your health is one of the most important things, and understanding how you can get health back as well in the quickest way. So you can lose all your health and have like 100 health left, but don't give up, you can still regen your health if you play it smart. So being able to retreat and get your health back, and even get more kills to regain it, is really important. One thing I see a lot of people do, and I've probably made this mistake before, is when, so let's say I've lost 100 health, it hasn't fully regened yet, and I go in and attack people, and then I take damage before my health fully regens back. That's when you start losing more health most of the time, and that's also when you start to panic at the same time. So just being aware of that is really important. Now in relation to health, another thing you've got to watch out for, which I think a lot of people kind of dismiss, is the health of the enemies that you're fighting. So whereas a reinforcement or a trooper, you got to keep an eye if they're buffed. So like if they're like a buffed trooper, whether it's an officer buffing them or if it's the officer buffed themselves, for example, you've got to see, okay, they're buffed, so this won't one-shot the hero. I mean, not the hero. This won't one-shot the infantry. So let's say they're buffed assault, and normally you can kill them with like Vader's saber throw without any damage saber throw cards. It wouldn't normally one-shot them. So you just got to understand, okay, how much health do they have? How long will it take me to kill them? Is it safe for me to kill them without losing too much health? So just simple things like that is another thing to look out for. And another thing as well I feel like people dismiss is the minimap. I know it's not really specific, but when I say more minimap, it's obviously like you get an idea of where people are. Like there's a bit of a radar, so it tells you, oh, there's an enemy nearby. But more importantly, you got to keep an eye out for enemy heroes because they have like a large dot on the minimap. As you see, Wazza Sith is behind me, and he has that green icon there. On the other team, for the enemies, he'd be red. So just make sure you don't get flanked by the heroes is probably one of the most important things in relation to the minimap. So making sure, and you're saying, oh, okay, that person's near me, I've got to watch out now, you know. So that's another thing you just got to keep an eye out for. But in relation to minimap, obviously keeping track of where out of bounds is, and make sure you don't, you know, go out of bounds for too long, because there is something I'll touch on with out of bounds later on in the video. But that also brings up map awareness, so understanding the maps, how they're laid out, where most people are to come from, the enemy spawns. When I say enemy spawns, I don't mean spend the entire Killstreak spawn trapping, because, you know, that's not really fun, is it? Obviously understanding where they spawn from, so going, okay, if I'm in this area and pushing up, I've got to be very careful to make sure I don't get ambushed too quickly. And obviously understanding where the objectives are, the best ways to get in there and help your team, that type of thing, and knowing when to fall back and how to fall back, because that's another thing too. Like people get stuck out of bounds when trying to fall back, either because the door doesn't open or they're taking the complete long way to get back. So that's another thing you've got to keep an eye out for, because when you're stuck trying to fall back or push an objective, or actually mainly fall back, you're more likely going to be in more trouble. You're going to start to panic, and then everyone go, okay, he's struggling to fall back, let's go kill them, you know. But obviously, yeah, as I said, with pushing objectives as well, you got to know where to go, because that's, at the end of the day, if you don't play the objective, your streak's going to stop, regardless of whether you win or lose. So, and also what we've got here, when I briefly touched on enemy heroes on the minimap, but now I want to talk about them in general. So obviously, depending on the hero you're playing, you're going to have to understand how they counter you. So, like if you're versing a lightsaber hero, obviously they can swing spam you, but you got to remember what abilities they have, how they can counter you, and how you can counter that, or at least survive it. So obviously, like with knockdowns, you can roll out of them and dodge it with a well-timed roll or a dash if you're a saber hero. And obviously figuring out what abilities can work well against different heroes. For example, Dooku's Duelist is pretty good on blaster heroes, providing they don't roll too much. Iden's Shock Droid is good on someone who's not blocking. So you just got to understand how the abilities, or even just the attacks of other heroes, can affect you. Especially like BB-8's cable spin. Like, then that's where I say keep an eye on the minimap, because sometimes you don't notice him because he's so small, and once he gets you with that cable spin, especially with your blaster hero, it's really hard to avoid it. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. And obviously keeping it on, I tend to do this a lot. See, when you watch my videos, I check the scoreboard a lot. And the reason I do that is not just to show you guys that I'm actually on this streak as a bit of proof, but it's mainly to see who's playing the heroes. So if I see someone with a hero icon, I go, okay, who are they playing as? So when I look at the hero near me, I'll see that name, I'm like, okay, that person's playing them. So this person's playing Anakin, that person's playing Luke. So then when they die, I can keep track of who's the next hero. So that's kind of what I do. So you go, okay, here's a hero. And if you've seen them before in the lobbies, you go, okay, he's good. He's playing this hero. You got to watch out, you know. It's just awareness of everything. It's of who's who, pretty much. So that's a lot of thing I like to do, is to make sure I know who's a hero, how they can counter me, and how I can counter them, or at least survive against them. Another tip I really need to emphasize: a lot of people do this pretty badly, but you need to pick your battles. So obviously, when you're fighting, there are times when you're not going to actually survive. Now, in that situation there with Luke, he didn't pick his battle very well because I had the high ground and he lost so much health. He should have fallen back right after I started shocking him with the damage, because he said he just kept standing there and I was able just to secondary fire him. So in that situation there, you got to obviously pick your battle. Go, okay, Aiden's got the high ground, she's got secondary fire on me, I've lost all my health, time to fall back, you know. And obviously, it's as well as not overextending. So that also sometimes means like not pushing somewhere on your own. Sometimes you'll actually be on your own, and then next minute enemies will show up, and then you'll just get overwhelmed. And obviously there are times when like there are multiple enemies in front of you, and you fight them thinking, oh yeah, I can clear them all out, as Vader for example. And yet, like you can still, people can still take damage as quick as anything. So you just got to know when to back up and when to stay and fight, sort of thing. So when you lose a lot of health, that's obviously the time to fall back. And if you don't have abilities on cooldown, for example, like some abilities like an Iron Shield or a Stun Droid, you wouldn't want to overextend too much, because without them, it's hard to defend yourself. And once you're overwhelmed, you're in a bit of trouble. So obviously knowing when to attack, when to play a bit more passively, that type of thing. It's like on Killstreaks, I think a lot of people tend to assume that, oh, okay, to get a high kill streak, I've got to play aggressive all the time. That's not always true. Sometimes you actually have to play a bit passively or defensively. So example of that would be, obviously, you've got to play a bit aggressive to an extent to obviously push the objective. Obviously, you know, don't be stupid about it, but obviously go up with your team, push the objective, arm it if you have to, like I've done a few times. And playing defensively, an example would be simply just guarding the objective and actually staying near the area. So it's just that type of thing to, you know, understand and figure out, okay, this is what I need to do now. And then, so the next ability we have, or next tip I should say, is dashes and rolls. This doesn't just apply to you, this applies to the hero or infantry that you go up against. So obviously, pretty much majority of people, except maybe Dooku and like the infiltrator classes, have 2 dashes or rolls. So understanding that they don't come back straight away. So if you roll twice straight away and you get swing spammed, you're basically in trouble for like a split second or two. And by that time, you could already lose a couple of health, because let's face it, most people swing spam when they see a blaster hero. Not gonna lie. So just managing that. And obviously, one thing I really like to do is to often when I kill someone with lights as a saber hero, I like to dash straight away, because it keeps you on the move, and then it's harder for them to hit you. And don't worry, I've got another video in the background footage, so that's not a problem. So doing that, sometimes I roll after I kill someone as well to just get out the way. And if you need cover, that's perfect, because you can just roll into cover after killing somebody. But this also works, you can use dashes and rolls against the enemy as well. So often if you're fighting, whether it's a blaster or a saber hero, especially a saber hero, you can often let them roll. And once they're out of rolls, then you can swing at them. You won't always get time to do this if you're outnumbered, so don't rely on it too much. But obviously you just got to know when they're going to roll, and try and anticipate where they're going to roll, so you can just wait and then swing back at them. So if they've used their second roll and they're rolling right, you pretty much don't swing, just wait till their roll animation's finished, and then swing again. Or at least wait till like right as they're finishing their roll. And it can work with their dashes too. Just like trying to bait the enemy into a false area is really good as well. So like trying to swing. I mean, I'll lose my train of thought here. So let them dash. And then when they run out of dashes, it's harder for them to dodge the attack. So even if they're blocking it, you're still putting them under pressure. So don't feel like you have to kill them. Sometimes just putting the pressure on them, let them know that you're there and you're a threat, can sometimes be a really important thing. So just having the composure to go, okay, I need to let them roll, let them dash, and let's put a bit of pressure on them and try and get the final kill on them. So that's something really important as well, because the last thing you want is to get caught with swing spamming. And that actually reminds me of a tip I didn't put on here, to do with saber heroes. And this is, you don't have to count it out loud, but I like to try and count your swings. So the last thing you want is to get caught swing spamming, because when you do, that's when you're most vulnerable to attack. So if you can realize that, like normal infantry sometimes takes 1 or 2 lightsaber hits to kill them. So don't do it any more than that. So if someone's right in front of me, like don't like swing once or twice. If that doesn't kill them, either wait for them to roll as I said, or just back up if you need to. So just counting your swings, even if you do it mentally in your head, you don't have to actually count out loud. Okay, 1, 2. You don't have to do that, but if it helps you, go ahead. But just counting your swings is really important because, as I said, you don't want to get caught swing spamming, and managing your stamina is really important as well. So you want to make sure you have stamina to defend yourself. So counting your swings is really important. Another tip is very simple, but it's not always easy to do, but it's something I'd encourage 100% of the time, and that is to simply play the objective. Whether you're on a map like this, in the first phase or in the second phase, playing the objective is really important. Now obviously in this type of phase here in the background, as you can see, it's not easy to play the objective because you can't actually do anything as much. What you can do is obviously stop them from getting the disruptors. So if that means you pushing up as far as you can go and stopping them, that's playing the objective in itself. But if you have to capture a point, obviously go in there and try and capture it is really important. Now, one thing I really want to emphasize is don't be afraid to die to keep like while playing the objective. Like I see a lot of people back up just to keep their kill streak alive, like in the dire moments. Obviously you have to retreat, and if there's an overtime, fair enough. But like don't be afraid to, you know, push up, and even if it means you die, sometimes it might just be the push that your team needs to get through. So obviously don't be afraid to sacrifice yourself a little bit. But obviously in relation to playing the objective, like I'd rather get a 50 kill streak while playing the objective instead of getting like a 100 kill streak where I'm just spawn trapping all the time. So just playing the objective the best you can is really important. And obviously like people are more inclined to follow a hero if they're leading the way and pushing the objective. So you know, you got to play like a hero. You got to lead the way, show your team what to do, lead by example, that type of thing. So that's really important. A few more tips before we wrap this up. I'm sorry that this video has been a little long, but I really wanted to go in depth with some of these tips. Next tip is star card loadouts. Now obviously you're all going to have different cards for you that you might use for heroes versus villains, and then Galactic Assault or Supremacy. Now this is where a star card loadout system would be very good, but you've got to remember, if you want to play a certain hero, you've got to remember to actually change your star cards to suit your playstyle in the Galactic Assault and Supremacy modes. So remembering what cards you like and what cards suit you. So just remembering to change them before you play the hero. Whether that means like before the round or right before you get the hero, like on the countdown. But I recommend the first option because by the time you change your card, someone could already snag the hero from you. So just making sure you have the right star cards that suit you and benefit more for the larger game modes is something really important. It's like sometimes you could spawn in and have the wrong star cards on, and then it just throws you completely off because you go, oh crap, I don't have the right cards on, you know, kind of sets you off a little bit. So just make sure you have the right cards. It's important. It's a simple thing, but I thought I'd include it. Next tip here is it's a simple one again, but it's to stick with your teammates. Obviously for someone like Iden, pushing up on your own is very dangerous. As you can see, I don't have too many teammates with me, so I was just retreating there. You're less likely to die if you have teammates around you, because at least that way they can back you up, or they can take some of the hits for you. Especially when surrounded by like a Saber hero, for example. Because often when lightsaber people are surrounded, they won't know who to like attack because there's so many people. Like they could be a hero, and there could be like 4 blaster infantry people right next to you. Wow, what terrible wording. But yeah, they won't know who to attack. They'll start to panic, and then if they're all in different directions, they won't know how to defend themselves. And even when you're just pushing the objective, obviously it's better to push with your team, but sometimes you have to push on your own just to give your team a bit of momentum. But yeah, just stick with your team as best you can. It takes less pressure off you. Now another tip that I've seen Jazza and Twisted and even Sammy Boy touch on a bit is don't be afraid to play with the out of bounds area. So obviously on the minimap you'll see where out of bounds is, and you can go out of bounds for 10 seconds before you die. But I wouldn't recommend 10 seconds, maybe 8 seconds at most. But if you're pushing up, trying to get a few extra kills, don't be afraid to push out of bounds and get a few kills and then run back. Sometimes it can be good to really keep the enemy at bay. So don't be afraid to do that. Like, don't be afraid to, you know, push up. And even if you just do it like once or twice, it's it's still good picking you up a few extra kills. Oh, rip to that Anakin. Yeah, so don't be afraid to do that. Obviously, be smart about it. If there's like 5 or 6 enemies right in front of you out of bounds, don't just run out of bounds like that, you know. Just be smart. Final tip of the video, and it's a simple one, I think, but I think it's something that really helps me. And that is simply to stay relaxed and play natural, or play your normal play style while you're getting a kill streak. I often see a lot of people put too much pressure on themselves to get a kill streak. They go, oh, I really want to get a 50, I really want to get a 50 plus with Iden, I really want to get a 50 plus. Like, the more pressure you put on yourselves, you don't think straight, so you're more inclined to make mistakes. So when you start going on a kill streak, don't expect yourself to survive, basically. Don't, when I say that, don't negative self-talk yourself and say, oh, I'm not going to survive this. More say like, I'll just play Iden, see how it goes, just push the objective, help my team, that sort of thing. And often, as I said, you'll make more mistakes if you panic a bit more, so staying composed while you're getting your kill streak is really important. So even if you're losing a lot of health, don't panic. Because, as I said earlier, you can always still get your health back, and you can always still get on successful streakers. You can recover if you do it well enough, so that's just to keep in mind as well. That's probably one of the most important tips for this video, I think. But that is going to do it. I do apologize if the video is a bit long for you guys, but I really wanted to go into detail for some of these tips. There are about 14 or 15 tips here, roughly. If I remember, I'll try and link these into the description for my killstreak videos, if I remember. I think these tips, you'll be able to see me apply them in my videos, but then you can also apply them for yourself. So I really hope this helps you out, and I'm really glad I finally got around to recording this, because, you know, I procrastinated for a long time, but I want to try and benefit people with the content I bring out. So hopefully this helps you guys out. If there's anything you really feel I missed, or if there's anything, little extra tips you want to bring out, so whether it's like a sneaky little trick with a certain hero or something like that, feel free to put it in the comments, because, you know, I love to talk to you about it. And feel free to share your highest kill streak with anyone if you wish. Obviously, don't be stupid and brag about it, but you know, let's spread some kindness. Let's get some good feedback in here. Let's really try and help each other out, because, you know, everyone wants a good kill streak. Everyone wants to play the objective and do well. So, you know, let's have a bit of fun with it. Obviously within reason, but you get the idea. But that is going to do it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the tips. Hope you enjoyed the background footage as well. Thanks again, everyone. I'll catch you all in the next one. Thank you.
A few transports might escape, but we'll take off in a matter of hours.
The Sith are all powerful.